Now, it is no secret that Australia is an extremely damaged place and one that is going through an emergency which has taken a back seat, and rightfully so, due to the coronavirus that is wildly spreading, and to a lesser degree, the ongoing criminal prosecution of current U.S. President Donald Trump. Now, Australia is in a very desperate situation, and the ruling class now fully acknowledges the danger of what's happening. The very elite of the bourgeoisie are now starting to see the problem. The Reserve Bank, the National Bank, the central bank in Australia is saying that it may have to buy up coal and fossil fuel power stations as part of extraordinary action to save the economy from climate change-induced financial disaster. The central bank is saying that these resources do need to be nationalized in order to protect the country from climate change. Think about how serious this is, without actually going into any kind of central bank conspiracy theory nonsense. Australian business leaders are growing increasingly worried that climate change will hurt their bottom line, and the International Monetary Fund warns that the global warming is now a major financial risk, that a new warning was issued by the world's top central bank, the RBA, could be forced into rescuing the economy and the environment. This is also being echoed by the Bank for International Settlements. In other words, when you have transactions that go between businesses across countries or between countries themselves, there's an overall bank where those transactions are processed. And they are also warning that this is a major problem that could destroy the entire world economy. Well, yeah, I mean, would destroy the economy if you destroy the entire friggin' planet. I guess you have to have somewhere for an economy to exist. And the new research shows that twice as many local executives in Australia view climate change as society's biggest issue compared to their international peers. Really not surprising considering the country's on fire. I mean, that's actually pretty obvious. That should be pretty obvious that those suffering from global warming are most aware of it. Now, normally, the main victims of global warming have been in the third world, so, they don't count. But now that it's happening to first world people, all of a sudden the global bourgeoisie are now starting to pay attention. Now, there are very, very radical developments going on in Australian society. I mean, you may have seen the footage where members of parliament go out to do photo ops with people who've had their homes destroyed, go to these communities and say, oh, we're here to be with you, and, we're here with you in this time of need. And they get chased out of town. They start getting rocks thrown at them and death threats thrown at them. Or they have to leave. You go into public spheres, even places like Reddit. Australians are openly calling for their politicians to be killed. And essentially, the police really aren't doing anything about it. That sentiment is really there. They want their politicians to die for everything that has happened. Now, it's important to note the very dangerous situation that Australia is in. New reports have come out about the damage. Most of Australia, slightly more than half of Australia's farmland, has been destroyed. And there are reports that it may not be coming back. Some areas have been so damaged by fire, forests, that they'll never recover. Those things are deserts now, permanently. This is a frightening development. The destruction of homes in Australia is so bad that the housing market, the prices have skyrocketed. Worse than anything that we've seen, worse than inflation in the 70s that we saw in North America. The insurance industry is finished. Australia has now acknowledged that the amount of damage done by the fire exceeds the country's GDP. In other words, the government can't even bail it out. They're done. The insurance industry will not be able to pay out the policyholders. And the government, there's what the government could possibly even do at this point is unknown. The amount of devastation that has taken place in the country and possibly a looming financial crisis inside the country as a result of this could very well spur the end of Australia as a country. We could be looking at Australia as a country no longer existing because of it. Now, of course, there's always a chance they could pull it back, but it's really not looking good right now. So the capitalists now realize the severity of what is happening only when they start to lose, when their bottom line starts getting hurt. I mean, you got coal, you got gas, all these things that destroy the environment, and, they're shoveling tons of money into pretending that global warming doesn't exist. But once their country's on fire, once they start going bankrupt because of economic destruction, all of a sudden, they believe in global warming now. Which confirms partially my theory. The bourgeoisie will eventually accept that global warming is real, but probably only too late. The very, very high, the super elite of capitalists in the world are probably very aware of it and know how bad it is, and will probably try to do something, which is why we have Greta Thunberg, which is why we have a face on the climate issue. And there's a reason why it's a white face, and a privileged white face and a child. Face it, if you put climate change on an indigenous person, the first world's not going to listen. They don't care. Even liberals are racist that way. So you're going to have to put some privileged white kid on it, because that's the only way other privileged people, I shouldn't even say privileged white people, because privileged black people too, are going to accept it, is if it's something like this. And that's what's frightening. Maybe now this will be enough to get them off their asses and start doing something about the coming destruction of, the entire human race. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.